Welcome to RealCast, the weekly roundup of the real asset markets. My name's Richard Betts, and I'm joined by Paul Strome and Nicole Dines. Nicole, what have you been following this week?
I've had a look at Italy this week, and there's a real momentum in the real estate sector. There are lots of good news. GDP growth has been revised upwards. The Bank of Italy is talking about 5%, which is incredible for this year. EU recovery funds have been approved, they're on their way. The vaccination program is doing really well, and Prime Minister Mario Draghi, Super Mario, seems to be holding a fractious coalition together. So all these sort of factors together are contributing to this very strong business confidence and consumer confidence at levels not seen since 2018. I talked to Simone Roberti, who's head of research for Collier International in Milan, and he said there's a lot of optimism in the real estate sector, and a lot of investor interest, which is not reflected in the numbers yet, but it will be. In fact, investment volumes were down 15% in H1, but the problem seems to be supply of grade A stock, which investors want, especially foreign investors, rather than lack of demand, which is very high. And there are two transactions which actually are going to transform the numbers for H2. So the numbers will look very different at the end of the year, which shows also the interest from foreign investors, because the both investors involved in these transactions are big American companies. So Italy's biggest pension fund, NPAM, has just sold this portfolio called Project Dream to Apollo Global Investors for 842 million. And Blackstone is set to clinch a deal for a 1 billion portfolio from Reale Compagnia Italiana, which is a huge property portfolio, mainly residential. So all these two transactions I was saying should really make a difference in the numbers at the end of the year. And again, there was a lot of activity in Milan, and just in the last few days there's been two more announcements. In the southeast of the city, the former slaughterhouse is being turned into a sort of housing and cultural hub, mainly affordable housing, and the Italian company Reale has won the project for the 500 million euro regeneration of the area, which would be the largest carbon negative social housing project in Italy, and the 15 hectares of abandoned building will be turned into affordable accommodation and student housing. And again, it's very much in line with sort of sustainability and the new trends of repurposing buildings rather than demolishing them. And another announcement, very recent, is that the new investment platform has been launched to develop Seimilano, which is a new mixed-use neighbourhood, again, in the business capital of Italy. And it's a joint venture between the Italian development company Borio Mangiarotti and the global investment company Vade Partners, and will be managed by Prelios, which is one of the most active Italian fund managers in the real estate sector. Again, it will be very much a green project. Sustainability, ESG are inspiring the scheme, and it will have, again, mainly affordable housing and the student housing, as well as a cultural component. Another sector that is doing very well in Italy, again, we'll see the numbers come up throughout the year, is hospitality. Smeralda Holding, which is owned by Qatar Investment Authority, which owns 4 hotels and a lot of land in the Emerald Coast in the North Sardinia, which is one of the most desirable sort of tourist hotspots. It's just investing a further 120 million euros in its 4 hotel on the coast to increase the wellness offerings, as Qatar put it, meaning new spas, new gyms, more fitness and sports activities in line with what customers demand. There's also quite interesting so-called Harrods Suite, which is going to be designed in the colors of the London department store. It's the most prestigious suite in the building, and it has a 250 square meter terrace and an infinity pool for those who can afford it. And Baglioni, also another big name in hotels, Resort Sardinia, has just opened with a private beach and 78 rooms and suites. There seems to be a lot of activity in the tourism sector, and in Sardinia, despite the COVID situation, seems to be pretty full this summer.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that focus on hotels, Nicole, and how that's been building recently as well. Logistics and tech have also been big themes, and I had an interview with Faisal Butt of Pi Labs and Sander Nyssen of Waku Robotics on those opportunities coming from the growth of automation and robotics within the logistics sector. But it was also interesting that Faisal mentioned an increased focus on solutions around sustainability, and so expect to see more news on that over the coming 6 to 12 months. Paul, what news stories have you been watching?
Well, alternatives still loom large, and life sciences have remained a strong theme. Swiss Life Asset Managers and German utilities company Gelsenwasser have agreed to acquire Reale, the company which owns and operates life science parks in German cities Marburg and Jena. Swiss Life Asset Managers, which was acting on behalf of a Swiss Life infrastructure fund, said that together with Gelson-Wasser, it will support InfraReal's investment program for the next 10 years. InfraReal is Swiss Life's first investment in life sciences infrastructure, which it says is a strategic asset class given the macro tailwinds and importance to society. Another big announcement in the life science sector was made by Axa IM Alts, which has raised 1.9 billion of equity during the last 7 months to accelerate its participation in the area. The capital raised will primarily be invested through the Cadence science partner, which AXA acquired last year. Cadence is a developer, owner and operator of European science parks and labs and has a portfolio of 22 assets totaling 167,000 square metres in Netherlands, UK and Germany. It's also got 8 developments underway, which will provide another 120,000 square metres of new space in the next 3 years. So the new funds will enable Cadence to do more deals while developing those schemes. AXA commented that the life science sector is well established in the US, but it's an emerging high potential asset class in Europe, and that's supported by demographic, technological changes, notably as it relates to healthcare and I suppose the inferences that the pandemic has encouraged investment in the sector. And then Spain has also been a strong theme again this week. Alternatives investor Verdi Partners is to sell Hotel Barcelona Apollo to Melia Hotels, which is the current operator, for 96 million. Interestingly, the deal followed an open bidding process that attracted interest from more than 20 institutional investors. So Verdi Managing Director Hector Serrat said that there was strong demand for the asset, demonstrating the attractive dynamics that underpin Spanish hospitality and its ability to thrive now that lockdown is easing. After announcing that French corporate and investment bank Natixis is backing 27.5 million development finance for 2 projects in Barcelona, Henderson Park and Hines told us that they've started work on their T3 Diagonal Mar building in Barcelona's 22 at Innovation Hub. And that's going to be entirely timber-built building. Naturally, the building will have ESG credibility and fitted out with the latest technology. Completion's expected in 2022. So again, picking up on the emerging use of timber in buildings.
Yes, it's interesting to see wooden construction in the headlines again this week. And on the sustainability side, Koen van Ostrom, founder and CEO of Edge, announced they'd got planning for Edge London, saying this will be the most sustainable office tower on the South Bank. I also saw that Jon Gibson had been appointed to lead the Global ESG strategy, in a new role created at Avison Young. And on the people front, it was good to see Reale, former head of European asset management at Patrizia, being appointed CEO of Nordics-based asset manager DS Group. Originally, of course, a Danish property management group, but they moved towards being a full service partner for property investors following the acquisition earlier this year of the direct Nordic real estate activities of Aberdeen Standard Investments. So congratulations to John and Rika on the new roles. Thanks also to Gemma Shah for publishing the breaking news on LinkedIn that British people prefer the pub to the office. This was based around data from Metricus showing that office occupancy stands at 60%, while hospitality footfall has reached 80% of pre-COVID levels. Michael Grant of Metricus said we've seen steady linear growth in office use since the beginning of February 2021, and this should reassure us that the return to the office will be sustainable and lasting. So good news there, I think, in terms of the office sector. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for joining us, and look forward to seeing you next week for our regular roundup of the news in real assets.